If you want to know the difference between Kosmos and Heath Riles competition rib seasonings, this is the video for you. Hey guys, this is Steve from Cookout Coach. We're all about trying to help you take your barbecue to the next level, no matter what you need. Today we're going to be talking about is competition rib recipes. Specifically, competition rib rubs. Here's the deal, guys. I'm extremely passionate about competition barbecue. I love it. It's seriously so much fun. Problem is, with everything going on this year, our competition season is going to be super short if it even happens at all. On top of all that, the KCBS sanctioning body, which is the one I compete in, has decided to roll out a backyard world championship that I have to win my way into. Right now, looking at the schedule, I think I've only got about 4 chances to do that. Now, if you've been with the channel all, you know I love barbecue ribs. They are my favorite thing to barbecue. Also, if you watch, you might know that for some reason, I can't score well with barbecue ribs in the competition to save my life. I'm serious, y'all. It hurts my soul. The fact that I can't get a first place call in a rib category. I can't even get a second place call in a rib category. I've only ever gotten 1 third place call in a rib category, and that wasn't in a competition that was very big. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to reevaluate everything, and I mean everything, that I do with my competition ribs. And we're going to start today with what rib rub I'm going to use this year. The 2 different rubs I've used on ribs in my barbecue career are Kosmos and Heath Riles. Now, we all know there are a ton of people that win with both of these, so it's definitely not the rub's fault. It's this guy's. But today we're going to make some competition ribs to see if I can really taste the difference between the 2 different rubs and go from there. So to begin with, of course, we're going to fire up our Acorn today. We're going to be using briquette charcoal and a little bit of cherry wood. Get your smoking stone in there and let her come up to 275. While all that's going down, we're just going to put a quick competition trim on these ribs. I like to start by removing this skirt piece. It's part of the diaphragm, and if you don't take it off first, sometimes I have a hard time getting the membrane to come entirely off. So I go ahead and take that skirt off first. Next, we're going to take our paper towel or your spoon or however you want to do it, grab a hold of the top membrane on these spare ribs, and just make sure we get it all the way off. Once we have that membrane off, we're going to go ahead and, I like to chop off the first big bone because I'm usually going to blow it out pretty bad in a competition. I count 10 bones and then make another cut. If you've got a smoker that's big enough to not worry about it, you could leave all these on if you want. I just like to cut them down so I know I'm dealing with about the same size every single time. We're going to remove a little bit from the top just to cut these bones down some. And then lastly, we're going to flip it over, and any extra fat on top of silver skin, which is usually on the big bone side, I'm just going to go ahead and try to take that off. If I can't get it all off, I'm not too worried about it. With our racks trimmed, it's time to go ahead and get after seasoning these ribs. These ribs are already moist from just coming out of the package, so we're not going to overcomplicate it today. We're really going to try to just let main parts of the system come through. Number 1 being the rub. We're going to use 2 rubs from each of these manufacturers that are in the same vein. For Kosmos, we're going to use Honey Chipotle Killer Bee and Dirty Bird. For Heath, we're going to use Honey Chipotle and the Sweet Barbecue Rub. You gotta love how direct and to the point Heath is with his names of his rubs. Once you get the back done and it's sweated in a little bit, go ahead and flip it over and hit the top side. A pro tip, if you want to accelerate the sweat process, go ahead and hit the rub with just a little bit of water on top. It'll help to start rehydrating those spices. With the rub set, on the grill we go. We're going to start spritzing these ribs at the 45-minute mark. What I like to use to spritz with is Parquet spray butter. Spray butter is essentially water and some soybean oil and a few things to help flavor it like butter. My main goal is just to keep that top layer of the rib moist and protect it from the heat a little bit. After the first spritz at 45 minutes, we go ahead and spritz every 30 minutes after that. That is until we decide these ribs are ready for the wrap, and these ribs were ready for the wrap at 2 hours and 20 minutes. In our wrap today, we're going to be using some sugar in the raw and Kerrygold butter. That's it. We're going to keep it super simple. Oh, and a little white grape juice. You might wonder why we're using sugar in the raw. The answer is, I just really get tired of dealing with brown sugar. It's always clumpy and hard to get out of the bag. Sugar in the raw just pours out like salt pretty much. It's awesome. With the ribs wrapped up, they'll go back on the cooker and we'll check them at the hour mark. At the hour mark, these things feel like money. They're probing at about 206 to 210. But more importantly, when I feel them, when I try to pick them up, they drag that foil. So we're going to wrap them back up, throw them in the cooler, and leave them there for an hour. I'm really trying to work a rest into my new competition schedule. If for nothing else, it just makes life less stressful when you know that you're not rushing ribs at the end, they're in the cooler and ready to go. When we come out of the cooler, I like to go ahead and put these back on the cooker for just 2 to 3 minutes just to dry that rub out a little bit so we don't knock it off whenever we go to sauce these ribs. And when it comes to saucing, I sauce the back, I slice the ribs, and I sauce the top. Today is the day when we start our march to first place rib category call. Let's see the difference in these rubs. Kosmos rib. So Kosmos rib was very good. It was salty. They were sweet, but compared to ribs I normally make, if I had to pick one defining characteristic, there was a good of salt, which you need that in competition sometimes. You don't quite realize you need that extra boost of salt to really hit some taste buds after they just came through a round of chicken where they've really been pounded with some extreme flavors. All right, let's try the Heath rib. We'll see if I see any differences. All right, here's the Heath rib. I really have no idea if I'm blessed with a great palate or not, but I can tell you when I'm eating these ribs, both with Kosmos, honey chipotle, and sweet rub, and Heath's honey chipotle and his sweet rub, the biggest difference to me is Heath's seems a little sweeter and a little less salty. Kosmos really seems to capture a little bit more salt and therefore tastes like a little bit more of a savory rib to me. Knowing that going forward, we need to build our game plan around what are our other flavor notes doing, what's happening if we're injecting or brining, what's happening with our sauce, is it sweet, is it salty to begin with, do we want to level set based on that? Another thing to remember is you can always change your sauce way easier than you can change your rub after your rub's already cooked onto your meat. I always love to buy a certain brand to support a character that I like in the industry, people that I've talked to. At a certain point, I have to get this rib chip off my shoulder and start winning. So we're not just going to stop here. You may see us test some different barbecue sauces in the future. You may see us test injections. When we find ourselves where we can't get a category win, I like to start from the ground and come clear back up to the top. Nothing is safe. Actually, let's test some breeds of pork next. Since you're thinking about getting into competition barbecue, you need to go see what my first experience was like. Meet me over in this video and let's talk about it.